Freedom Bench, bonus episode 1. So, your friend tells you they won't shoot your reloads because you had one failure to cycle, one failure to chamber out of 100. Solution? Here we go.
Welcome back to the bench. Does this look familiar? Yeah, all too familiar. So this is the reason most likely why you'll have a failure to feed, failure to chamber in some of your factory and some of your reloads. Oftentimes this is because your resizing die cannot size all the way down the entire piece of brass. So because of the shell holder, the brass towards the top of the case mouth can't always be resized all the way down. So in order to combat that issue, let me introduce the Lee Precision Bulge Buster. So what we have here is essentially the solution to our chambering mishaps that occur every once in a while. So what the Lee Bulge Buster does is it takes resizing one step further. So for those pieces of brass that have been shot through an unsupported chamber, more than likely through a Glock, since the Glock barrel is unsupported and is not always down to specs, which I don't think they ever are, what happens is when a round is fired, the case can bulge towards the head, and this is the solution to that problem. So we're going to work through this here tonight. We're going to show you how it works, and we're going to get rid of our problem. So tonight we will be loading up 9mm Luger, but I wanted to give this little bit of a disclaimer as we head into the video. In order for the Bulge Buster to work, you have to take apart a Lee factory crimp die, and the case gets pushed all the way through that die. Now, here comes the disclaimer. Lee Precision supports the 380 Auto, the 357 SIG, 40 S&W, 10mm, 400 Corbon, 45 Gap, 45 ACP, 45 Win Mag, and 41 Action Express. Inside that list is not 9mm Luger. It used to be, but after some small little issues, Lee decided to pull their guidance for the 9mm Luger. Thankfully, reloaders are smart, and they've come up with great ideas and great ways to fix this problem. Enter this die. This die is not for a 9mm Luger. This is the 9mm Makarov Lee factory crimp die. And in order for it to work on the Bulge Buster, we're going to disassemble it, and we're going to start pushing these cases through it. Let's work through installing and getting set up the Lee Bulge Buster. First thing you have to do is install the push pin. Here's the push pin, which is what's going to be used to help guide the pieces of brass up into the Makarov die, and those are going to be pushed up like that. So we'll add this thing into the press. Second, we need to take apart the Makarov die. So I'm going to raise the ring first, and then from there you got to take out the top piece of the die. And you want to remember as you're taking this apart, obviously, how it goes back together. So take the stem out, and then from there no idea what this is called, but that's got to come out. Then from there you can see all the way through that guy, and we're going to be able to push our cases through that. But in order to do so, This is called the guide sleeve for the bulge buster, and that gets screwed onto the top of this. There we go. And from there we're ready to go into the press. So just like everything else, we're going to raise the ram to the top of the stroke. Then according to the instructions, we need to screw the factory crimp die into the press until the push pin enters the die, a minimum of a 1/4 inch. So we'll screw this down. I'm going to say that's good. You can see, maybe I can zoom in a little bit. You can see there the push pin. You can see how the die is going into the push pin. So that's supposed to go in at least a 1/4 inch. And I'll say that's good there. So we'll screw the lock nut in, or the lock ring, finger tight, and then from there we're pretty much ready to go. I believe this plastic piece, this is the container or the receptacle that's going to hold all of the cases as they go on. And then this is just obviously if you're doing a bunch of them, you just put it on top. And there you have it. I think we're ready to start pushing some brass through. Now some of you reloaders, if you happen to see this video, these cases have not been resized yet. And I've seen differing opinions on whether you should resize first or bulge bust first. So currently I'm bulge busting first. And the reason behind that is, part of the reason why Lee doesn't support bulge busting their 9mm Luger is because 9mm Luger is actually a tapered case. So my theory is that since it's tapered, I'm going to get that taper back in when I resize. So I might as well bulge bust first and then resize, and then that'll get me my taper back. And that's the thought process behind it. You can also supposedly bulge bust after you've completed the round altogether. I just didn't want to go that route. So we're going to do this first. We'll see how they shoot. And then we'll reevaluate if necessary. Every single case was bulge busted. Every single case has been reloaded all the way through the Lee 9mm carbide factory crimp die. Disclaimer: every single time I've loaded probably about 500 rounds, 600 rounds at this point of 9mm. I have not had a 50 round batch that has gone through the case length gauge, all 50. I've always had at least 1 or 2 get stuck in there, and I've had to really run it down on the factory crimp die. So I'm going to show you all 50. I'm going to see if they go in smoothly, if they drop out smoothly, and they'll go into our completed bucket. Let's see how they do. there you have it. All 50 perfect. I can almost guarantee ya these will cycle. Thanks for watching.